All right, part 7. We're going to be painting a storm giant. The same thing we do in parts 1 through 6, only now in part 7 we're going to be using some Citadel, which is mostly for Warhammer miniatures. I feel like this is the prime application for the Citadel line is the Warhammer minis. But there's, I don't know, there's just a very nice sort of red leather effect from Rhinox hide. Now, I feel like with these, paints, the idea is always to mix them with water. That's what we do. So I'm gonna take some Rhinox hide from the pot here and apply it to my wet palette. And I'm getting the paint all in the tines of the brush. So I feel like there needs to be a little scoop of some kind to get more paint out than with this brush. So I'm going to use a toothpick here. Actually, I guess it's more of a popsicle stick. There we go. There we go. Almost half the pot of paint of Rhinox hide. And then I'm gonna use some water to just thin that out a little bit more. There we go. All right, now that it's all thinned out, I'll start painting it on the armor here. And again, I'm just gonna slowly build up the paint in light layers, little by little. There we go. So yeah, there's been a lot of good leveling. I think the party finished the Dripping Caves by defeating a goblin and rescuing the townsfolk from Nightstone, and they leveled up to I think level 5 at that point almost, and then they were sent when they saved the town. They were given a tressium, and this was homebrewed up a little bit by yours truly. They were given a tressium, which is like a cat, and it belonged to Marcus Southwell's family, and Marcus Southwell's family was in Nightstone, and they had passed on in the attack by the goblins there. So they the party was given the tressium, the cat, and asked to take it to his family, which I believe was in one of the 10 towns. It was in Icewind Dale, and that was a huge battle for the group. So yeah, they fought some frost giants and succeeded. It was a huge battle. It was a huge ordeal. It was a really fun fight. I'm really just kind of reminiscent about it. This paint is very thin. It's not really adhering very well because it's so thin, which is kind of a problem. It needs a little bit more, just a little bit more consistency to adhere. So I may have watered it down a little too much in this case. Yeah, I'm not really pleased about the way that it's sort of kind of this hydrophobic activity that it's doing here. I'm not sure what is going on. If this could be my fault entirely because I didn't really shake the paint that much before trying to apply it. So I'm just going to work with it to the best of my ability. Oops. I'm wondering if just the Rhinox hide by itself without water will keep it from being so hydrophobic, but it's just pooling up here. So, goodness, this is not ideal. I'm gonna try again with the paint straight from the pot on this one, and I'm not sure if it's the primer or the paint, but whatever combination of the two is not working great. Oh yeah, this paint is quite chunky. Gosh, I bought it from the game store, the friendly local game store, and they who knows how long it's probably been sitting there. I should have done this first thing. All right. Try this again. Okay, lesson learned. Citadel paints, just paint from the pot. Just paint from the pot. And I like these. I know, like I said, they were primarily for Warhammer miniatures, but I do like these Citadel colors. There's a few of their bases that I really like, a few of their washes that I really like. I just have to be very careful not to get it on the parts that I've already painted. Or get myself in the parts that are already painted. Yeah, oh boy. It can be quite messy. Yeah, I like the reflective sort of glossy finish of Rhinox hide. It just makes a nice looking leather. Red leather. Yeah, And I've tried a lot of different things to kind of create that red leather effect. And I actually went to a game store the other day that had, it was a game castle, and they have like a painting section with a few paints that they've sort of generously donated to the public to use. And so I've seen all sorts of videos. I had seen all sorts of videos, where they were applying Rhine oxide, and it was a really nice looking, paint that I had seen when it was used, but I had never really used it myself. I mean, there's so many paints out there, but I know that it's a really, really popular base coat color in the Citadel line. So it was the first time I'd had a chance to use it, and I immediately was impressed with the ability to kind of create this this tan red leather. I don't know, it's oxide leather, I guess. So yeah. I like it. Okay, so while that is drying, what I think I will do is, I'm gonna start the next layers here on, let's see, actually I'm gonna finish this little part as well with the Rhine oxide, and then these game color metallic paints. I guess that they are acceptable, from time to time. I'm not crazy about them, but they're usable. And I think that for this particular purpose, like I said, I mean, I'm all about getting things table ready at this point. I might use those for the trim on the armor. Just to kind of get it done. Okay. All right. The metal paints that I really like, I'll use as well at some point here coming up. But I'm going to start with some hammered copper from the Vallejo game color line. So let's give that a shot. And I think we'll see how it works. We shall see. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just kind of recounting our party's experience in Storm King's Thunder as I paint this Storm Giant miniature, and the party was quickly leveled up to level 5 throughout this part of the campaign, and then when they got to the 10 Towns area of Icewind Dale, they fought a bunch of frost giants, and they were quickly able to kind of saved the day for the town that they were in. It was great. They really, it was a great fight. We used all these cutouts of the Icewind Dale, the official 10 Towns papercraft lodge set. So it was a great fight. Lots of three-dimensional objects to use for terrain, and just seeing just the layout of the town that they were in was a lot of fun, and having them sort of utilize that. So good times. Let's see. I'm not sure. I'm gonna see if I can put this in a holder here, because honestly, it's a little awkward to hold on to. I have a Citadel sort of gripper here, but not entirely sure I got the right size for it. I don't think this is gonna work. We'll see. But no. So option 2 is sometimes just to put it on one of these to make it a little more manageable. Okay. So they're in Icewind Dale, and they fight these frost giants who are storming the town, and the frost giants are looking for Artemis Climber, and he's got this ring, the Ring of Winter, or some such artifact. It's like, and they've got like a drop of blood that they're going on, but the thing is that Artemis Climber is not really there, and his kin, his son, I think his illegitimate son, is there, and knows nothing about this Ring of Winter. And the player characters are all sort of playing different members of the town that they're in, and the person playing the son of this he basically gives himself up to the frost giants, and so they capture him, and the player characters rejoice. They're excited that they've solved the giants' retreat, and they've solved the problem, and they've saved the town. So very clever. I didn't deem it to be I thought it was a particularly heroic act of self-sacrifice on the part of the NPC. That was, that was the player's choice. That was what they decided to do. So the frost giants took this guy captive and took him back to Svalbard, the home of the frost giants, to torture him, I'm sure, to find out what he knew about this Ring of Winter. And the player characters reached level 6 for their triumph at Icewind Dale, and then went out to hunt some more frost giants. So it's been a fun campaign so far, and like I said, I mean, it's just now getting to the point where it's getting even into the storm giants. How they got from Nightstone to the 10 Towns was quite a story in and of itself. Because when they left with the Tressium to deliver to Sheriff Marcus Southwell, they they found they were encountered by a flying cloud giant's castle. And so they got on this cloud giant's castle, and his name was Zephyros. And he's basically like Doc Brown from Back to the Future. He's half nuts and a good guy, but a little bit crazy. And he's a wizard. He's a crazy wizard. Which let's be honest. I mean, Doc Brown in Back to the Future was definitely the quintessential, crazy wizard, and I feel like it was a good match of characters. So they met this crazy cloud giant wizard on his floating castle, and they spent a few days there. And on one of the days, it was great. Like they had a chance to copy down spells from his spell book and just sort of rest and relax after they had cleared out several dungeons previously. And then, it was there that they had encountered. Oops, I'm doing a terrible job of keeping it in the camera. It was there that they had encountered these cultists. And I think they were supposed to be like air elemental cultists or something, but I homebrewed a little bit because I didn't feel like it fell within the narrative of the greater story. And so I changed them to be Cult of the Kraken members, and they were there on behalf of this Kraken Slarkrethel. So this Kraken Slarkrethel is like this ancient evil that sort of manipulating behind the scenes, sort of like an evil Wizard of Oz. And so the cultists were trying to get Zephyros, the crazy cloud giant wizard, to join with Slarkrethel, this Kraken, who is their master. And the cloud giant is very like pacifist. He's not going to fight anybody. But the bard, of course, the bard who loves to escalate things, decided to, the cultist made some sort of a crack, and the bard couldn't let it rest, and said something that I don't know if it insulted Slarkrethel. I forget exactly how the bard managed to do it, but managed to escalate things and get into a fight with the cultists. And the party was, oh my gosh, there were a lot of cultists. There were like 9 cultists, so the action economy is key in those kinds of things, and the party was immediately overwhelmed by the cultists. And I'm not gonna lie, like that was all part of the plan. Absolutely part of the plan. So they got into a fight with the cultists, and they were getting overwhelmed really quickly. And it was just at that moment, of course, that Queen Neri showed up, who is a storm giant. So and Queen Neri, it wasn't really written into Storm King's Thunder at this point, but I have her kind of showing up in the same fashion to she shows up in the same way to sort of like visit Zephyros, who, I'm kind of the way that I feel about it is if this was if Storm King's Thunder is sort of like the Lord of the Rings, right? And there's this sweeping conflict going across the land of the giants uprising. Then, Queen Neri and the cloud giant Zephyros, they're sort of like the Galadriel and the Gandalf, and they're in the campaign. And so that's the way that I introduced Queen Neri to the players, because she's later, again, so spoilers, please, don't listen if you're planning on playing Storm King's Thunder as a player. Maybe just turn the commentary off and just watch the painting as slowly as it occurs here. I feel like at that point it was introducing Queen Neri to the players, because later in the point that they're getting to now, Queen Neri is dead. And it's much more meaningful that she shows up and, in my opinion, and saves them during this fight in the Cloud Giant's tower, because it introduces the character and it sort of sets them up to have, at least an introduction to the kind of the end game story. So she shows up, saves their lives. Zephyros is happy to see her. The players are happy to kind of meet her. And then she tells them that she's had a vision, because here's the deal. Like I mentioned this, I think a previous video, but storm giants, they prophecy, right? Like that's their sort of bag, is they have prophecies. So she had seen in a prophecy that these small folk were to have a great effect in the coming events of the war, of the giant folk and the loss of the ordning. So when they get out of this cloud giant's floating castle, they're at Bryn Shander, and they meet a few people and then deliver the tressium to Sheriff Markham Southwell. And that's when the frost giants attack, and Cyric of Suzail is captured by them. Cyric of Suzail is the heir of the Ring of Winter, although he doesn't know anything about it. And so he's captured by the frost giants, and they take him off, and the players sort of forget about him, go off on their adventures, collecting heads of frost giants and whatnot, getting fancy titles. And then they sort of have a few different adventures that they side quests, I would call them almost, that they go off on. And at this point, the one that I decided to kind of run with was they're given a side quest by each of the NPCs that they play as during the assault of the frost giants on the town of Bryn Shander in the 10 towns of Icewind Dale. They're given they're given a quest by each of them. So at this point, they all sort of went off on different quests, and some of them were very interesting. So yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about those in the next video, as well as continue base painting here on the Frost Giant. Tune in, and we'll see you then.